Hello legends, welcome. Morning Mez back here. And I'm back with another of my Learn With Me series. So these are the OverExplained HAVOC 40 runs. This time we're on the Silo Cluster map and we're facing the Encroaching Garden and Rampaging Enemies modifiers. Now Silo is widely considered to be probably the second spiciest map in the game. And it has a hell of a start section, so yeah, it should be a good one. And looking at the modifiers, we have Garden and Ramp. Just to very, very briefly cover what these do. Encroaching Garden, certain enemies are marked with a purple or pink modifier. They pump out a shit ton of healing to enemies in a 5-meter radius around them. Whenever we see Garden, we know we need to hard focus down the purple. We also know that if we don't, we're going to be facing regenerating waves, which is just not a pleasant proposition. We also have Rampaging Enemies. So again, Ramp marks certain enemies with an orange visual indicator. You kill the orange dude, and he spreads a stacking damage resistance buff to all enemies around him. It stacks up to 5 times and gives the enemy mob some pretty serious damage reduction. So whenever we see Rampaging Enemies, we understand that we're facing more pressure from waves, we're facing tougher enemies, and essentially the map's going to be just a bit more sloggy, just because, well, we're going to be slower in our clear, and we won't be able to progress as fast just because shit's not dying. Now, the combination of Garden and Ramp, healing plus stacking damage resistance, basically is just a recipe for tanky waves, right? So we know we're going to be facing pressure. We know our target priority has to be on point to get through this map. We'll also say, I think I mentioned it last time, but Garden combined with Ramp is probably the spiciest mod combo that we currently have in the game, at least in my opinion. So looking at our team comp here, we have Robbie, who's playing our faithful vet. So he's got Voice of Command, Crack Grenades, and the Survivalist Ammo Aura. And looking at his loadout, he's rocking the Power Sword and the Plasma Gun, so he's running basically the meta vet. Now, Robbie's job here is to stab stuff in melee with his Power Sword because it does incredible damage, to help pick specials with his Plasma Gun, and then to hard focus down bosses and Garden cursed enemies with his Crack Grenades, right? Cracks are a really, really strong, basically elite deletion tool, and they really help him focus down some of the purple crushers, maulers, reapers, all that kind of stuff, eh? He also has Voice of Command, which is a fantastic supportive ability, so he'll be pumping out toughness, gold toughness, and staggering mobs pretty frequently, which is awesome. Next we have Zaki Boy, who is playing a Chorus Zeal with throwing knives and running the Benediction Aura for the toughness damage reduction. His loadout is a dueling sword and a flamer. Now Zaki's role in our composition is to poke stuff daintily in the face with his dueling sword with one hand behind his back, dealing pretty strong damage into everything, particularly armoured targets, and then to use Chorus to relieve pressure for us, so defensively, but also to push and take space offensively with Book. We'll also mention that there are a couple of sections in Silo Cluster where we have access to potential ledges, so we can essentially drop bosses into the void, and provided we time it right. In Silo as well, guys, there is quite a spicy end event, so having Zaki with Book is going to make that significantly easier, because he can help us dive gunners, move more safely, all that kind of stuff. And he's brought the Flamer here just because, well, the Flamer is very strong. But I think he's brought it just to offset the lack of clear he has with his dueling sword. So all in all, a pretty strong build. But then we have Corvus, who's playing a spicy pick, a Nuncio RB. Probably the least used ability. And I think the reason he's picked it here is because we're facing Garden, which means, I didn't mention in the mod description, but the pink or purple enemies, which are cursed by the Lord of Pestilence, and they're intensely stagger resistant, right? Now, personally, to me, whenever I run RB, that doesn't mean anything. I'm still going to charge him in the face, right? Just because, well, that's what I like doing. But I think he's brought Nuncio just because, well, he'll have a harder time staggering stuff, so he's trying to add value in a different way. God, it's been so long since I used Nuncio, but I'm pretty sure Nuncio, he basically puts down a little speaker that in a circular radius around it, it'll pump out, I think gives us toughness damage reduction, maybe toughness regeneration, and you can mod it to, also gives improved revive speed in the aura. Then you can mod it to like reduce the amount of attack speed enemy has, so increases the delay between their attacks. I think enemies take additional damage. I will need to check, guys. I'm not a big Nuncio user personally. I prefer the dynamic break the line ability. But either way, he's brought Nuncio. Got dog bombs, so he's got a dog with him. And his loadout is an RB shock maul with the bolter. All in all, pretty strong loadout, just a bit of a spicy ability pick. Corvus's role in our composition is exactly the same as all RBs, right? He's there to frontline, he's there to deal damage, he's there to stagger, and just to create little windows of breathing space and offensive opportunity for us. Nuncio also adds a defensive element where he can plunk this down and we can obviously buff up and try and hold an area a little bit better. And lastly, we have Lauka. So I'll be playing a Psyker. I'm running Shriek with Brain Burst and the cooldown reduction aura. My loadout is the Obscurus Force Swords, just because it's a little bit of an obsession of mine at the moment to try and make this weapon feel better and work. But it's a strong weapon. It has decent damage into pretty much everything. Just as a little bit of a funky moveset, which you've got to get used to. And for some, I don't know. And for some insane reason, I'm running the trauma staff, so the Void Blast staff. Guys, let me make a very clear recommendation. Don't run the trauma staff into garden maps because, well, you cannot stagger the purple garden mobs. So if you do run it, just know you're a little bit mad and you're going to be having a bit of a hard time. So yeah, anyway, I'm running the Obscurus with a Void Blast staff. I'm pretty sure, based on the look of this, that I'm running a Blazing Spirit build. So essentially, I'm still a Soulblade Psyker. It's just I'm a shitter version of a Soulblade Psyker because Inferno is just so much better. But me personally, I just enjoy the trauma, so that's what I'm running. My role here, as with all Psykers running burn, is to just burn the world to ash, right? I'm here to stagger the very few mobs that I can, and to essentially help manage hordes, just to deal as much damage as I possibly can. Right guys, that's the preamble done. Long preamble. Anyway, that's the preamble done. Like I say, this should be quite a spicy map. A loadout will play in a second, and then, as per last time, I will jump in as and when to try and share some pertinent information. And yeah, hope you enjoy it.
Holy shit, Cake, warn me when you drop bomb like that, I almost drowned myself.
Oh, if I may, people, you see I'm running crit chance and elites on the Void Blast stuff. That's because I am widely described as a hipster when it comes to my perk and blessing picks. I'd recommend you run crit and probably flak. Alright, I'm just going to skip to the very start of the video. Ooh, too far guys, too far. That'll do. So guys, the entire starting section of Silo is a hellscape of pressure, narrow walkways, and gunners, right? So we just need to be careful here. Now when we get clear line of sight going forward, I'll share a bit of info about, you know, like respawn points, all that kind of good stuff. But because I'm playing a Blazing Spirit build, I basically want to be living at very high peril. Alright, I'm just going to put, ooh, is that good enough? Barrel's out next to you. Oh, it's not fire, good. Alright, I'm just going to pause here, guys. So first and foremost, the area that we just cleared at the top is probably the best ground to fight on. So if we face any kind of significant pressure, we want to back up these stairs and just hold the top. As with always, I don't know if it's useful to say, but just be aware, mobs can spawn behind you, so always watch your six, especially on narrow stairs, which are, just by nature, really janky places to fight. Yeah, got to be careful on these things. The game will also often send bursters and specials behind you. Now guys, think about where we're stood here, think about how detrimental a burster that sneaks up behind us can be, or a firebomb that lands at our feet at the wrong moment. So just thinking about the section ahead, to the way we want to progress this, and I'm just thinking about boss triggers, by the way, guys. At the very bottom of this map, you see this on where my cursor is on the right-hand side, around about drawing this line here. When you get close to this ramp, slash a bit up this ramp, I'm pretty sure there's a boss trigger there. Again, a potential boss trigger. The other thing worth noting is that the next respawn point, so if anyone dies, the respawn point is just up here. So it's under, basically forward, you take it from the left route or right route, and it's just here where my cursor is, where I'm drawing a circle. Okay, so if we lose anyone, we know that we can recover them there. This entire section at the start, guys, is fucking horrible. It really, really is horrible. This section and the one after it is just tough. As with all things, take your time. Pull what you can towards you. Try and kill as much as you can in the best ground that you can fight it on. And just go slow. That's really the best advice. Now, when we clear this, you see we're trying to pull all the range and deal with the range that's ahead of us and pull it towards us. Like I mentioned before, if we're faced with a lot of pressure, we'll take all this stuff upstairs just so we have a bit of cover from any range that's shooting at us. But essentially, the way we want to progress this is clear, push down these stairs, and either take the left route and push through up here, or take the right route and push through up here.
What does Nuncio give us again? I forget. It's like toughness, damage reduction, something, isn't it?
Revive speed. I think revive speed as well.
Enemies take increased damage from the
Oh, snipe.
Oh, you see that sniper? That is very, very dangerous. The little things like this, all these little horrendous spawn points and sight lines for enemy range to make this quite a dangerous section. We just had a weakened monstrosity spawn, so this is not a boss trigger. This is just a percentage chance that the AI director has spawned a monster instead of a specialist. You can see the team is pulling this up the stairs, right? Got to be careful of bursters, guys, especially if you're running a trauma staff, right? You have the ability to absolutely fucking wreck your team if you time it wrong. But if you do it right, you have the opportunity to burst the bursters before they can become a threat, right?
I keep thinking all these ramp guys are just lingering or elite.
I also just want to mention with the build, I didn't mention it as we covered it, but I'm essentially running a build without empathetic evasion, so I have significantly reduced defense versus range fire. Now when you run a trauma staff, guys, I personally feel that you attack so much slower than an Inferno Psyker can that empathetic is one of those things that you can drop, but just know it puts such a huge emphasis on your positioning because you can get fucked up real fast, yeah? Additionally, I'm also not running Empiric Resolve, which means that if you look at my bloody peril bar, it's going up and down like an absolute yo-yo. For the newer players who may watch this, I would highly recommend you play a safer Psyker build, right? One that's maybe got a little bit more comfort to it. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm running a trauma staff into Garden. That's just madness. And I also, I don't know why I enjoy the the additional stress of this particular build. Right, so yeah, just be aware. This is a fun one. It's probably the best blazing trauma build that I can come up with. However, it's not that easy to play.
Oh, he's throwing fire at me.
You can see, guys, we've just cleared. We've tried to be careful. We're trying to move together. If I just pause here very quickly, this is the respawn point right here that I tried to highlight earlier. So if anyone dies, guys, that's where they'll pop up, provided we back up enough. If someone dies, we back up towards the stairs. I don't think you even need to go up the stairs, but back up towards the stairs, and we should get them right here. Now, just thinking about the next section, also worth calling out, we didn't get a boss trigger, which is nice. But thinking about the next section, essentially there's a huge flood of mobs coming from forward. Mobs will drop from the top bit that I'm stood under here, and they'll also come from behind us, right? We're a little bit fragmented, which is absolutely fine because, well, some are left, some are right, but we need to try and tighten this up. It looks like we have quite a large wave on the way. You also see here, look, there's a burster in the distance, not near anyone. If I can pop that now, it's a problem that's just gone away.
This will kill me.
Oh, I've been dogged. Help.
Okay, I said it's not a problem, right? You see, it is a problem now because I'm isolated and I got dogged. And unfortunately, my team couldn't get the dog off me.
Oh, that was a death trap.
I've now just eaten over a wound's worth of corruption because I was isolated without anyone with me, right? So in hindsight, guys, if I had my time back, just move together with the rest of the team. You know, like we should all have pushed left there, not me going right on my own. Because I'm a Psyker in the group site. Ooh,
Just watched you melee that, mate.
I stopped shooting and he ran at it.
Fuck, he's trying to fight bastards in melee, which is certainly a choice. What was I going to say? Yeah, so in my groups, guys, the Psyker tends to get a little bit babysat just because of the output the Psyker can provide. The stim went to me because I was on 1 wound. Honestly, if anyone was on 1 wound there, we probably would have stimmed them. The next med station is quite a bit ahead. Now, I've just paused here, guys, because we have a bit of pressure. You can see the team split up, right? So before, 3 went left, I went right, and I got fucked up. Not great. Now, there's pressure from behind and from left, and the team is together to the right, and I've been forced back here. All in all, this isn't moving tightly, this isn't moving together. It's not fantastic. It's also worth noting, guys, I have a trauma staff, which is just inherently way worse at clear than something like an Inferno staff. It just is, right, unfortunately. Just for context, if people are interested in numbers, I think the Inferno staff stacks up to, I think it's 16 max Soul Blaze stacks from just the secondary fire attack, whereas the Blazing Spirit trauma stacks up to 6 only. Right? That's a pretty dramatic difference, eh? Now, obviously, that number can get, you know, added to with Shriek, can get added to with Perilous Combustion, all that kind of good stuff. However, what I'm trying to say is from a purely Soul Blaze perspective, Trauma is significantly worse at applying Soul Blaze than Inferno, which means, bear in mind, we're facing Rampaging Enemies and Encroaching Garden. It means this trash is taking longer to die than if I was to run an Inferno staff, eh? This is an FYI. Now, guys, this is not a good place to be, right? There is no escape. However, I do have a high stagger weapon with decent damage, so I should be okay. But in this situation, I need to be calling out to my team saying, essentially, I need some help. We need to tighten up. They should pull back and clear back towards me so we can essentially be reunited.
I'm in troubles.
And you see just how much shit is flooding down from those stairs, guys? Not ideal.
In the end, Corbin went down and Keg and Mez still alive. Oh, fire.
I'm reloading.
You can see just how bad this ground is to fight on because fire is hot.
Rev shout? No.
So Corv went down. We just need to pull back and we can recover him ahead of us.
Fire, fire.
Let's try it. We don't need to go all the way up, but I'm still going to go up some. Oh, I head popped.
The timing is impeccable.
Well, what can I say about this?
This peril stuff's
In my
dangerous,
defense, guys, I've this was recorded. When was this recorded?
Okay, watch out.
This was recorded towards the end of July, and I'd only just started playing Psyker again, and I'm also playing quite a inherently risky build.
Everything's so
I just got hit by a
I know.
Psyker-specific sniper.
Good time, though.
I just fell
You
the way
all
down.
saw it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Alright. So guys, Corvus has died. We've started this map with some pretty weak positioning, let's be real. We're not playing very cohesively. And also, just to flag it, my positioning here isn't fantastic, eh? We lost Corvus, unfortunately. He was the one we sacrificed to the game. We tried to pull back for the respawn. I got shot by a Psyker-specific sniper. You all saw it. It happens. Not ideal, but we move on. And then Keg managed to take a step in the wrong direction and take a very long drop and get himself downed. So all in all, like I mentioned, one of the hardest maps. really, really tricky modifiers, and we are playing like absolute clowns here, but it's fucking funny. We can recover this. We just need to group up, get Corvus back up, and get to some healing.
Okay, that's the equivalent of a head pop for a non-Psyker.
I tried to like dive off and chop that bomber up and just fell past it.
And just while this is going on, I do also want to say just how important it is just to laugh shit like this off, because sometimes it happens. You know, oftentimes it'll just happen to one person who gets unlucky or who, you know, loses focus for a second. But sometimes a string of little, like, it becomes a comedy of errors, and look, what can you do but laugh, eh? What can you do but laugh? Alright, so this next section, guys, look, we have a potential boss trigger, basically around about where this barrel is. If you draw a line there, it's in this section, okay? We also have the next respawn point. You see the tunnels going left and right. They lead to an upper platform. And the respawn point is just here, where you can see the outline of that totem where my cursor is. That's the next respawn point. So as always, if someone dies, we pull back to where we just dropped, sort of where we are now, and we can recover them there. With this section, there's also an open space to the right-hand side. You can't really see it because of the soul blades, but just before this arch, on the right side, there's no railing. We can potentially ledge bosses to the right there, if the moment presents itself. This, guys, is a really, really tricky area, okay? And the way we tend to like to approach this is, look, where I'm stood now, I'll let it play and I'll talk more about it just so it's a bit clearer. But where we are now, you're going to get flooded from the forward with melee mobs, but also ranged mobs are going to line the walkways on the top and ahead of you. In addition, where we drop down behind us, they're going to send fucking waves of horde, plus specialists, all that kind of good stuff. It's not really a fantastic place to fight here. This is one of those sections you just got to grit your teeth and get through, but now hit play. I'll show you where we tend to end up holding, but this area you kind of have to be dynamic in. So this ramp here, you see that I've just sort of like walked around. That's the only area that offers any kind of cover. Right, so we tend to sort of like linger in this area and then move, ebb and flow with these sorts of fights. Push, pull back, all that kind of stuff, depending on the combat situation. Now, I don't even think this was the actual trigger, but we have a captain. I don't know if someone got close enough, maybe they did and I didn't notice. But we have a captain on the way, which honestly in one of these situations is just a shit boss to have because he's so damn tanky and takes a while to kill. You can see the bomber there. Guys, eyes on fucking stalks here. You need to be able to kill these bombers quickly because one firebomb in this section causes all sorts of problems.
Oh yeah, you absolutely.
Now just thinking about our health state, it is not great. Myself and Keg are both on 1 wound each. Yeah, this is a dangerous situation. We just got to get Henrik, the absolute bastard, down as quickly as we can. And Sod's Law, he's a sword boy because, well, why not? Which means he's even more dangerous, right? And the reason the sword boys are dangerous is because they can, firstly, they can swap targets with every swing. Yeah, so you need to be on your toes because he may be aiming at one person 1 second and he'll be like slashing you in the face the next second. But also, look how quickly he attacks. Hey, rather dangerous. We need to be careful. So half the team has dropped and escaped and the other half hasn't. We're sort of just doing what we can in this situation. We're doing our absolute best. We just need to get Henrik down. Ooh.
Bloody hell, guys. Silky smooth. Oh, that fucking bomb hit me in the face.
Alright, now we have a Beast of Nurgle. Not ideal. The reason I say not ideal is because Sally is basically just an absolute damage sponge. She's a HP tank that can't be like meaningfully staggered, and she'll just walk towards you with high corruption potential risk, right? Through her puke, her snail trail, all that kind of stuff, you know?
Oh, she's eating me. She's gobbling. She's chasing me. She's trying to eat. She's got me. She's gobbling. Health bar is looking good.
Yeah.
Across the road.
So guys, next section ahead, if I just pause,
I've already had a fucking up.
if I just pause, you can see, so there's another boss trigger, guys, just literally just before you get to this doorway, a potential boss trigger. If I draw a line with my cursor, it's around about here. We have a med station here with 2 charges on it. These need to get fed to myself and to Robbie, because we are limping, and we are limping hard. The general rule of thumb is if someone's on 1 wound, give them the med station charge or give them the med stim, right? If you're on low HP, you still deal your full 100% output, provided obviously you can survive. These are some cracking players, guys. We should be alright. I also just want to call out one thing. So I mentioned there's a boss trigger here, and there's also a, you can see this ledge where I'm drawing a line with my cursor on the left-hand side. There's no railing here. What this means is if we get the right boss and we have the right ability up, i.e. Zarki's Chorus, a shout, maybe RB nades if we have them, whatever, we can send the boss into the void, right? We can send him to greet his Dark Master far earlier than he would want. Use that when the moment presents itself. However, I will say this section is quite dangerous, guys. What you don't want to be doing, or at least from our experience, is shoving forward, tripping a boss trigger and trying to take the ground in here, because this is inside the building as a narrow walkway, right? A pretty narrow walkway, and mobs will come from right hand side, from behind us, and flooding from the left side, from forward. You don't want to get pinched in there. So the way we want to do this is we want to kill what's ahead of us, we want to go forward and trip the boss trigger if there is anything there, and then pull back to where we're sort of stood now. It gives us a clear escape route behind us, all the way up to where we fought that beast of Nurgle, if we need to, you know, turn tail and run, essentially, okay? Yeah, like I say, just try and treat this section quite carefully. Everything from the start of Silo to this moment, treat carefully, but particularly this area here, just be aware. You can get lulled into a false sense of security where you rush for healing, and then you just get pounded from all sides by a wave. Try not to let that happen to you.
A Reaper.
He's brain burn. Oh!
Okay, fuck here now.
Fuck, did you see what happened to me?
So that was a patrol, guys. So a wandering patrol of gunners, and anyone who's played Vermintide 2 will remember patrols quite fondly. They do exist in Darktide. It's just because of the nature of the maps being more enclosed and tighter confined sort of thing, those guns up top are dangerous. Yeah. You kind of don't notice them as much, but that was essentially a patrol of a bunch of gunners that just happened to walk down those stairs at the wrong moment when Zarki had pushed forward out of cover, and he just got absolutely rinsed. That is what can happen to you in Havoc. It's just nature of the beast. If you don't see something, that shit can happen.
What do you think the walk tastes like, eh? Peggy, please heal.
The what?
Redstone.
So this is the bit that I mentioned, guys, the narrow walkway. Essentially, you just have some stairs going up. Just push this area when you're ready, when you're together, when you've cleared as much as you can. Oh, shit, innit?
Double burst.
I pushed.
You see, guys, in that moment, right, I held the trauma shot just because I did not want to pop a burster in my teammates' faces. When in doubt, don't trauma. When in doubt, don't trauma. Yep, I stand by that.
Team Rocket.
Did everybody hear what this man just said to me?
There's a billion Reapers just maneuver.
So this little walkway ahead of us, we need to be quite careful because there are barrels either side of the doorway. We just want to get rid of those. Because they can, I mean, people's health state isn't fantastic. We don't want to pop someone with a barrel and just make their day worse, eh? But with positioning and all these things, guys, you know, I say this until I'm blue in the face. Use your corners, create mini choke points. Just give ground when necessary. Don't be afraid to give ground.
Where's the host?
There's a host.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a...
Yep. There's one on the right.
That's on the
To the
right.
left.
That's on the right.
Wait, you're both.
And just while we're clearing this sort of shit, guys, I'll speak a little bit to Psyker, specifically. Oh my Christ.
Fuck me.
Okay, so basically, guys, a bunch of stuff appeared behind. I turned to react to it and got absolutely shredded by range fire. That doesn't happen if we're just watching our 6 more. I don't mean my team, I mean all of us. You know what I mean, right? Just keep an eye on the back.
Oh shit, yeah.
A horde of stuff, unless it spawns right behind you, should never get that close without you knowing it's there. Just keep checking behind you. It can avoid little horrendous moments like that one. Now guys, because the host is on the right hand side, I don't want to be using my trauma staff. In addition, Keg doesn't really want to be shooting these ranged elites because the plasma shot has sort of like a mini AoE around it, and it can trigger hosts. So I'm using Brain Burst just to deal with that. Now we have a Beast of Nurgle, so you can see we're pulling back slightly. Guys, my opinion here, we don't want to be holding this ground. We ideally want to pull back, right? Just to fight in space, especially with the Beast of Nurgle on the way. Now you can see here, I've pinged that.
I hear what you're saying, but
I can hear Keg here, but my team are reluctant to move because they want to farm damage, okay? Such is life, such is the human condition. However, you have a large HP tank of a boss on the way, pull out of this zone. Just pick better ground to fight on. Resist the urge of Khorne, resist his screaming in your brain, and just try and use logic and reason.
Oh, I'm stuck. Oh my gosh, you puked all over me, this cow.
As you can see, guys, right, look, the wave that came with her wasn't a huge deal, but she is puking fucking everywhere. She nearly took Zark down to 1 wound, and she's just taken Keg down to 1 wound.
She's got me. She's gobbling. I'm not even looking. I'm on 1 wound now.
There's too much keg sound going on. I can't fucking.
Fuck.
Oh, just run away from that. Ouch! Look at my health.
Jesus Christ. I'm not sure why I picked this. I figured it would be a spicy map with spicy mods, but guys, this is, as I said before, a little bit of a comedy of errors. But I guess it gives us something, A, entertaining to watch, and B, I can talk about what we could have done differently rather than what we're actually doing in the moment, hey? I didn't mention it, but essentially ahead of us, just through this doorway, guys, you can trigger it left side or right side. You have a potential boss trigger, and in this occasion, we have another captain. But this time, he's a club boy. Much safer, much easier to fight, right? Much less risky. And just for all the burning trauma, blazing spirits, void blast psychers out there, your staff isn't fantastic at boss damage, right? It's just not. And you, as I mentioned before, you have quite a low ceiling on the amount of soul blades you're able to easily stack up on things. If you actually want to burst single targets down, make sure you're at high peril and use your sword. Whether that's the Obscurus, a dueling sword, the Deimos, a knife, whatever. Use your melee. That's your burst. That's your single target damage right there.
Oh, that was attempted murder straight up. Wow.
Because we're in a pretty poor health state, guys, we've just dropped the med here just to give us a little bit of breathing space. Again, this next section is quite spicy. I think I'll keep saying that the entire run. But we just want to make sure we're as healthy as we can be for it.
Oh, for fucking real.
Now, the reason I'm sort of like sounding off about that, it never feels good when there are teammates behind you and a dog sneaks through and jumps you from behind. Now, it will happen numerous times, but if you can, guys, if you see like a mutie run through, a dog run through, whatever, just try and tell your teammates, because they don't have eyes in the back of their head, and dogs deal fucking corruption when they jump you, eh?
I guess not. Cool. Mate, these fucking shield brothers. Jesus.
Alright, I'm just going to pause here, guys, just so we have some line of sight ahead of us, so I can sort of speak about how we're approaching this area, how we're trying to push forward. Essentially, the way we progress, you see where it says 186, there's an archway there, and we want to push through this archway. In that little room here, there is a med station, always with 4 med station charges on it, okay? So, ideally, you know, we want to restock before we hit the next area, which is a mini event. However, this section here can be very dangerous. And there's two ways to approach it. You can either go so where I'm drawing a line with my cursor, like below the right side, the right path, where you see these railings here at the bottom level, you can just punch up through the guts of the room and just shove through, right? However, you need to be aware there is a potential boss trigger probably around about like midway point. So if you were to push right side, when you get on this bridge / push forward a little bit more, there's your boss trigger. For us, if we're taking the left side, and look, both areas are really, really narrow, right? You're in enclosed spaces. They're not ideal. However, you push through the right-hand side and you have very little cover. The reason we like to take left side is that, number one, there's more distance to travel, which means if we get unfavorable boss spawns or big packs of elites, we have more distance to kite them backwards, right? So we have just a little bit more time we can buy ourselves. If we push left side and we go through these buildings, we can pull them all the way back through the buildings. Provided we don't get pincered and can clear anything behind us quickly enough, right? We have more time, essentially, theoretically. But also, there's just a bunch of loot. There's like 2 big boxes in this, like, where my cursor is. Just if you go left path up here, there's like 2 big boxes there that we want to loot. So this is typically why we take left path. I will call out, though, you can see some smoke here. I don't know if it's there, but there is a demon host spawn point right here. Denise likes to take a nap there. So obviously if she's there, you can't take left side, right? What we do if she is there is still push left and loot up as much as we can. We then come back and then push through on the right path, all right? But it's incredibly important, guys, especially with the potential boss trigger ahead of you, that you are careful in this section. And the second you see something behind you, you clear back. You need a retreat path because of how narrow and dangerous these fucking walkways are, regardless of your right or left side. You see stuff behind you, clear it back, free up your retreat path, yeah? That is like sage advice right there. If you do that, you will increase your chance of like eeling out of horrendous situations just because you have space to move. And just while we're doing that, guys. Oh, there's a lot of stuff behind us. The team's pulled back, guys. I'm sort of in not the most fantastic position. I didn't know my team had pulled all the way back here, right? And that's maybe a little bit of a comms issue on our side, or an awareness issue on my side, right? However, you can see I'm just trying to play safe, just moving back towards my team. Just stay together as much as we can. But yeah, watching this back now, I will say, look, this is not a glowing showcase of how cohesive we can be as a team, but oh, that's a lot of armor on the way, eh? You see just how much stuff is forward. We need to be aware. So Corv is called out, stuff behind. The first thing we want to do is just clear backwards. Unfortunately now, the fucking world is swamped in fire, so this is quite dangerous. Darky is now popped book just to give us some kind of breathing space. I popped the red stim just to help clear through the wave of armor that's around us. And now we have a Beast of Nurgle, because why not? And guys, of all the bosses to fight in these narrow walkways, a Beast of Nurgle is probably the worst pick, eh? Just because, like I said before, she's quite tanky, but also she leaves a trail of corruption behind her that can blight the fuck out of you.
Yeah, I know, that's why we should go back.
So you can hear me on the comms just saying, like, that's why we should go back. I don't know what the conversation at the time was. But essentially, look, we have a Beast of Nurgle on the way. We need to buy ourselves as much space as we can. Ooh. And she's behind us, guys. Now imagine if we're stuck on those walkways, we have stuff ahead of us, and then Sally just slithers up behind you. That is a bad, bad situation. But the fact that we're down this sort of side, at least we can maneuver around her. Now, I want to talk a bit about trauma stuff and like this build and how I'm playing it, all that kind of stuff. Oh, okay. Anyway, I'm just going to pause so I can do all these things. Guys, I'm going to rewind just so we can witness that horrendous burst of situation, all right? And you can hear the sound that I can hear, okay? So if I just go back, well, we're on 2004. If I just go back to, here we go. Just witness, what can you do as a player in this situation, right? You got your fucking ears peeled. You got your eyes peeled. You're trying to be aware of all the threats, right? There's a burster that just flings himself at you from close range. I somehow managed to push it. I even shriek at it to get it away, and I still can't, and I still take the hit. This is just one of them Darktide ting, right? It's just, it sucks, but it is what it is. You roll with this. But just witness.
Noise, sound of bursts everywhere. Oh.
Yeah, man.
No sound, no sound, burst of jumping.
Boys,
Like,
it's okay here.
honestly. Now, the only thing that could have saved me in that situation, but look, how do you react that fast? Robbie has voice of command. He could have popped it to give me gold just so I can ride the hit. But obviously, you know, reactions, right? You need to be really, really sharp and on point to react in that moment, especially with no sound cues. But luckily, we have a med kit down. Just heal up.
He just threw himself at me.
There is a host top left, which is why we've had to push right side.
Oh,
Oh, Lord, what a knife.
that hurt my feelings, man. Full charge trauma.
I did. It's just force of habit, man. I have to steal Keg's brain burst. Behind you? Oh my god.
There's a bit of smoke away, but let me just pause here. You guys, basically, I mentioned this area earlier with the med station. So thankfully, we managed to sort of push into it. Kegs grabbed a heal because he was on 1 wound, so now we're feeling much better about our like health situation, which is fantastic. Because from the start of the map till here, with me fucking brain popping myself, with Keg taking a walk off an edge, we've been limping, and we've been limping quite hard. So it's nice now to be in a bit more of a reasonable health situation. But the area ahead of us, look, this room that the med station is in is not a good place to fight. The reason being is A, it's narrow. B, enemies come from forward. They can drop from right-hand side. They come from the left-hand side, and they flood from behind, right? Don't hold in there. If there's stuff, pull it and pull it back. Yeah, ideally pull it back up the stairs, but we can't do that because Denise is taking a nap there. So just pull it back, deal with it with a little bit of cover, with a little bit of open ground. Essentially ahead of us, guys, there's a big long bridge that leads to another event. Now, there is a boss trigger on that bridge, okay? What we want to do, we want to be aware of that, and we just want to clear what we can, pull what we can towards us, just thin out the herd, relieve the pressure, and then we can sort of poke our heads forward and have a look. But you can see at the moment, look, there's a decent amount of horde, decent amount of armor on the way. Just pull back into open space. Just do be aware, if you hold back here, guys, look, potential ledging spots. Both positive for ledging bosses with a book seal, negative for you taking a slip, you know, standing on a banana peel and just going off into the void. Just be aware of that.
A little jump before the throw?
So yeah, look, while we're just clearing this shit, guys, let me just speak a little bit about Blazing Trauma, which is probably, bar melee Psyker, it's probably my favourite traditional Psyker build in that respect. Essentially what I'm trying to do is I'm taking the Trauma Staff, which inherently has no Soul Blaze application, no dot application, but decent enough damage, but very high stagger, okay? So you can see whenever I charge my right mouse button, I have a reticule on the floor that sort of like gets wider as the charge increases, you know, as the bar increases. Now what I'm doing here is I'm utilizing Psyker's talents, which give me additional crit chance when at high peril, in combination with the blessing on my staff called Warp Nexus, which gives me, again, more crit chance at high peril. So ideally, guys, I want to be staying at... Ooh, good thing I held that. Ideally, I want to be staying at 80% plus peril the entire time to maximize my crit chance. I'm just going to pause because we had a boss trigger. Just for clarity, guys, that boss trigger was from the bridge, so that is the boss trigger we were expecting. But just while I rabbit on about this stuff, I want to ideally be at high peril, as high as you can feasibly manage. The reason I want crit is on a critical hit, my trauma AoE here will apply Soul Blaze. So on a crit, I apply 4 stacks of Soul Blaze to enemies that are hit. And it's not just enemies hit in that radius, right? So that radius is the direct damage that the Trauma Staff deals. But it's the actual stagger radius, which is invisible and is wider than the reticle you see. So what you see on the floor is where I can apply direct damage from the Trauma Staff, which is okay. It's like middling. It's not fantastic, but it's pretty good, right? However, there's an AoE radius, so if I release that right now, right, I'll deal damage to the tiny circle in the middle, but I will stagger a wider circle around it, okay? And it's that wide radius that can be inflicted with blazing trauma. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep my peril at max, right? So this little icon at the bottom here, that's Warp Nexus. It's max 4 stacks, and I think it stacks up to 20% crit. I need to check the numbers, guys. It's early in the morning. I'm sort of just like ad-libbing this, eh? But I think it's 20% up to 20% crit, scaling with the stacks. I want that to be at 3 or 4, ideally 4, all the time to maximize my crit, to maximize the amount of Soul Blaze I'm applying. And because the Soul Blaze applies in a radius larger than the direct damage radius, you'll notice I'm not actually full charging my shots, right? I'm doing, you know, third charges, 2/3 charges, whatever it is. You'll do more damage and you'll do direct damage in a wider radius if you charge this thing all the way up. The way I'm playing Blazing Spirit is I'm essentially trying to spread Soul Blaze, and the damage in the middle is a nice bonus, if that makes sense. In addition, so I can stack up to 6 Soul Blaze stacks on any targets based on crit. So if I crit something twice, you get 6 stacks, right? 4 per crit, but the ceiling is 6 stacks for the direct application on the staff. I can then increase that by another 6 by shrieking. And with Shriek, guys, you want to be using Shriek at the highest amount of peril. I think it's 84% is the min amount of peril you want to use it at to guarantee an additional 6 stacks on the targets that are hit. And the way Shriek works is it's a big oval. So if you draw an eye, but a bit more of an elliptical eye, like here, that is my Shriek radius. Whenever I shriek, its enemies in that radius. It's quite narrow, but it's very tall. So essentially, I want to be spreading Soul Blaze with my staff. I then want to be shrieking to multiply, to add an additional 6 stacks to the targets that are hit. And then you have additional Psyker talents like Perilous Combustion, which is when you kill an elite, it will spread Soul Blaze in a radius, and that will keep boosting up. We took 6 from the staff, 6 from Shriek. We have now 12 Soul Blaze stats, plus Perilous Combustion to add to that. Now your ceiling as a Soul Blaze Psyker here with the Trauma Staff will always be dramatically lower than Inferno. But what you do get is the additional A, direct damage from the radius, and B, stagger. The Void Blast Staff is has the potential to be a very, very safe tool. It can create space, it can obviously knock things over. Less effective in a garden map, so you're insane for running it here, Mez, but it's a really, really strong tool. But yeah, for those that are unaware, sorry for the long pause, I just wanted to explain the mechanics of what I'm trying to do here. So not only do I want to maintain high peril for offensive properties, right? Higher crit chance, higher damage generally, all that kind of good stuff, right? Guaranteeing more stacks when I shriek. I also gain defensive buffs from being at high peril through, I forget the name of the fucking ability, but essentially it's a scaling toughness damage reduction up to 33% based on your peril level, right? So I essentially just want to live at high peril. And if I drop down, I want to be stacking that peril up quickly. Not just for my staff, not just for my Soul Blaze, but as a Psyker, there's a talent called Warp Rider, which increases your damage quite dramatically the higher your peril is. Even if I want to burst someone down in melee with my sword, I again want to be at high peril. You occasionally will see me using my 4-sword special, so like charging up the 4-sword, and then just like swapping off it just to stab something with my normal attack pattern. I'm just trying to build peril with that. Whatever mechanic I use is up to me, but I just want to stay at high peril.
Oh, there's plasma.
Anyway, huge detour about the fucking staff aside. I believe we've hit the trigger on the bridge, and you can see, look, we don't want to fight there, guys. We don't want to be eating range shots. Let's just fight in cover, pull the captain back towards us, and deal with it on our terms.
I am hiding in a corner until this goes away.
Get it. Oh,
Here he comes.
he's not stop shooting me.
And little boy Loki is made an appearance, trying to say hello. Apologies if you hear him nuzzling the mic.
Hey, get him back in melee, you absolute prick.
Maybe disagree with the choice of words, but the sentiment is true. Guys, if you can, try and... Hey, stop that, boy. Stop that. You can try and get the captains into melee so they don't stand there just hosing you down with their plasma pistols, because it hurts, right? Especially a club captain. You want these bastards in melee. They're really not that dangerous, so yeah. You can hit them, get them in melee.
Fuck me.
Alright. So we've pulled what we can. You see the bridge is quite clear now. We just want to shove forward and get into this room. And what we have ahead of us is another event. Essentially, it's just hold your ground, and then the lift behind us, the doors will open, and we can progress. Now, the way we like to do this, guys, and the advice for all events is clear the room first, right? Make it safe, loot it up, and then start the event.
Someone be hatched.
Just pause super briefly. I'm moving away from it now, but the way we operate is to the bottom right corner, where I'm sort of like bottom right corner of my screen, there's a hatch in the ceiling where the game will keep sending intermittent specialists at you, so like dogs, trappers, specialists, all that kind of shit, right? Muties, that kind of stuff. The way we like to operate here is we leave one person who we affectionately call the hatch bitch. Unfortunately, it seems to be me that's the hatch bitch like 99% of the time, and then like the rest of the team or two of the team will come forward to the bridge here and deal with the wave of trash that the game will send as part of the event. Now, there is one catch, though. If you're the hatch bitch, you see how this room is dark? There will come a point after maybe 40 seconds, maybe a minute, something like that. I don't know exactly how long. But red lights will turn on in the room. And that's like your signal for the game is essentially progressing the event, and it's now going to send a bunch of elites. So like serious waves at the back of this room. If you're hatch bitch, guys, and every team should have one hatch bitch watching the back. When you see the red lights, call your team back. That's the cue to pull back from the bridge and fight what's about to spawn.
Bitch, please.
Also worth noting, dependent on how, your health state and stuff like that, you can choose to leave charges on the Medicaid station that's ahead of us. You can just instantly get rinsed, man. Playing Psyker without empathetic evasion is an absolute thrill. Right? Because like one gunner, oh my days, guys, it absolutely just wrecks you. But yeah, so as I was saying, look, we can choose to leave charges on the med station and then just collect them at the very end, if we so want. All depends on the situation, all depends on your health state at the time. So we're just dealing with the wave of trash ahead of us. Well, I think it's Zaki is being hatch bitch at the back. And you can see in the spawn feed that Zark is, look how many specials he's killing, just because they just keep dropping down from that hatch. Now if everyone's holding the bridge, guys, that shit's going to hit you from behind, and that's not going to be fun. Imagine 3 flamers sneaking up behind you while you're facing the wrong way. Not good times. Now red lights are on, team is back, you see the waves of elites coming from right and left. This is why we want to group up and fight this together. If you don't, you leave hatch bitch on his own, hatch bitch going to have a bad time.
Pop this barrel here, care.
So guys, with the trauma stuff, you can see what I'm trying to do here is use like partially charged attacks, like half charge attacks, to get a decent enough AoE, decent enough direct damage, but to put like consistently spread soul blaze, because higher number of attacks in a given moment. But then what I'm trying to do is just make sure my peril isn't too high, right? So I'm quelling maybe a tick, maybe 2 ticks, dependent on the level of my peril, just to make sure I don't head pop, for the next charge. The trauma staff is probably the highest, maybe the EK staff with the right mouse button, I'm not sure. But the trauma staff is one of the highest peril generating weapons in the game. If you use this sort of build, especially without Empiric Resolve, which sort of like reduces the amount of peril you generate, you have to be aware. When you're under pressure, if you're stressed, you can suffer a nasty sniper shot between the eyes if you're not careful, right? It's one of these, like, I would not recommend people play this specific build until they get more comfortable with the staff, with the playstyle, all that kind of stuff, eh? I'll be honest with you guys, at this point, I mean, I've been playing Psyker for like 2 weeks, after taking many month break. I'm not comfortable with this, yeah? I can tell by the way I'm playing a little bit safer with my peril gen than I normally would. At least I would now. We have a Plague Ogre on the way, and what the team is trying to do up there, guys, is trying to ledge him. You can see where Zaki stood, there is no barrier. However, Pete's got himself stuck on a little railing, and unfortunately we've not been able to ledge him. I just want to talk a little bit about my role here, right? We talked at the start, oh shit. We talked at the start of the mission that I'm the anti-everything guy. However, what Psyker brings that other classes don't bring, at least with 0 cost, is significant amounts of AoE. So, above all else, what I want to do is to try and help my team control hordes, right? And that means basically burning them. Thinning them out, knocking them over, just burning them. Now, Psyker in all his various guises, if you're playing a traditional staff Psyker with Inferno staff or a Void Blast staff, you actually have a lot of stagger built into your kit, whether that's the inherent trauma staff right mouse button, whether that's the Inferno staff left mouse button span, you have a lot of stagger. You're not just the AoE burn guy, you're also the shit, there's a lot of stuff behind my team, let me stagger that. And yeah, regardless of which staff you're playing, just remember this is one of the core parts of your role. You're basically a damage dealer and an AoE person, right? I would argue it's the other way around. You're an AoE person and a damage dealer. When things are spicy, control the horde, right? That should be your primary. Just because no one else in the team is able to do it as effectively as you without any costs, right? Now people might argue, oh, a Flame of Zeal can burn a horde too. And I'm like, yeah, but A, it's slower, and B, a Flame of Zeal uses ammo. I don't. I just burn little parts of my soul away.
Oh, good lord, there's a lot there.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Alright guys, just thinking about this next section here.
Sick of this.
Okay, right, let me just pause here. So a couple of things to be aware of. Firstly, respawn points. So if someone dies in this section, guys, they're going to respawn up here. So where this big pillar is, they'll just respawn either slightly forwards or slightly to the left of it. If someone dies, we pull back to the area that we came in, which honestly, if we're thinking about ground to pick to fight, like look here. This area ahead of us is just a big fucking long bridge with a med station at the end. It's narrow, there's not a lot of cover. Look how many fucking guns are up there. If we are under a lot of pressure, right, so if we get a big wave of armor, a bunch of metal on our fucking faces, we want to pull back to that section where we came in, where we came out of the lift. It's just the better ground to fight on, right? However, to progress the map, we have to push into this. What we're trying to do here is pick what we can, thin out the herd, and then we'll take right side. So there's a small path to my right-hand side, up some stairs, up a ramp, and you can loop round and access this tunnel. The reason we take right side is just it gives us a bit more cover. We're not just fucking, walking into the teeth of the gunfire here, which, we ideally don't want to do. We also have a boss trigger, guys, which is about 3/4 of the way up this bridge. So our plan here is, as I say, thin out the herd, push forward, take what healing we can if we need it, push up the bridge, trip the boss trigger, and then pull the boss back, right, depending on how much pressure we're under. Whenever I say this, guys, if there's fucking nothing there, obviously we'll just fight the boss wherever he is, yeah? But you have to think to yourself, where I'm fighting, whenever I'm fighting something, what happens if? What happens if a pack of elites turn up behind me? What happens if there's a spawn wave and I get hordes forward and backwards? If you're not in a position where you can react and deal to that, you should move, yeah? And this is where, if anyone's playing this game and trying to take a bit more of an instructive lead with their team, you run the balancing act of, how do I be, supportive and allow there to be freedom for my teammates to play and just go with the flow of the game, but also to consider what could happen and then to pull the reins and say, look, this could happen and we should pull back because this is looking rather dangerous. And the game state of this Darktide, especially in Havoc 40s, can change so dramatically fast. It's one of those things that sometimes, guys, if you find yourself wiping, a decision was made or a lack of decision was made, you know, a minute ago, 2 minutes ago, whatever it was, and you're currently facing that consequence. You know what I mean, right? It's like, how do you balance that? And to me, that's quite an interesting and quite a fun part of the game. So not only do you have to try and play well and, you know, not die, but also it's the macro perspective of the game that I find quite interesting. Anyway, I fucking ramble. We go on.
Oh, range is mine.
Oh, fire on me. Fire.
Through fire.
Oh, boy.
Double fire. Is that a joke? What the f?
Oh, Zark, armor behind.
Look how much shit has just spawned behind us here, hey. Look how much.
Behind you as well.
Right? So the team was a little bit, maybe just a little bit greedy in pushing forward. We weren't together. It was sort of like a tepid push, right? And just look how much stuff is behind us. So Corv and Keg have been absolutely mowed down by gunfire here. Dark and I have pulled back. We have a shitload of purple metal on us. And we're doing our absolute best just to survive. I talked about respawn points, guys. I actually told you lies. If we're as far back as we are, so if someone dies in this section, if we're as far back as we are, you can get the closer respawn point, which is just in this building to my left-hand side. If we clear all this shit and we hold our ground right at the back here or in the lift, this little house on the left-hand side, you go left and then to the right, you can get a respawn point there. If you miss that respawn point, it's where I said behind the pillar, just past that bridge. But Zark and I here, look, we're essentially back to the walls, fucking shoulder to shoulder, just doing our best to survive. If we can deal with this wave, if we can live, we should be able to recover our brothers in this room. And guys, you can see just how fucking useful Book is from a defensive perspective in this moment, right? I'm doing my best to stagger all this shit, to kill it. And yeah, doing a decent job at doing it, but you need time, eh? You need time to get your damage off, especially with dots.
Oh, this wanker.
We pulled back far enough, we got the nice respawn point, but this is still dangerous, guys. Stuff is still spawning. But we went from, this is fucking almost unrecoverable, only 2 of us are alive and there's a shitload of stuff on our face. We're now 4 of us back alive.
What did you do?
Yeah, well recovered. Well played, Zaki. But again, guys, just a reminder, push when you're ready, push together, yeah? Sort of like half-ass pushing like we just did there is just going to cause trouble.
Okay, I'm going right side. This is dangerous.
I'll push it with course. 2, 1. Oh, they're way, all the way up there.
Good end for later, like
Fucking 1,000 dogs, Keg.
Huh?
1,000. Fire. Full burst. Oh, it's right down popping.
And behind us.
I have mine.
I'm dead air. I thought we were.
Burst behind. I got.
This is a dangerous, dangerous place. In a perfect world, guys, we pulled back through that left side and into better ground, but Keg got stuck here. He went down. We just got to reunite and sort of just hold this position together. You can see, guys, if we had guns ahead of us, just how dangerous this is. There is fucking no cover. There is a constant swarm of mobs and specialists coming from left and forward. It's like, this is not a good place to fight.
Sniper left. Still.
Oh, he hit me. Fucker.
And I think one thing I'd encourage everyone to do with these sorts of games is, look, don't play scared, but you've got to be more patient than you sometimes think you need to be. Especially in spicy maps, spicy zones like this one.
Sorry. No, it's alright. Take it.
Oh, we just hold it for now.
Either that, or you need to be ready to dive and dive together. So that's the trigger from the bridge. So we have a captain on the way. We just want to kill him in our own time, but we need to be careful of ranged pressure forward, but also stuff spawning from our left and behind us.
Thank you.
it's so easy in this section to get pincered and to get overwhelmed. Just be aware of that. If in doubt, pull all this shit back to where we first came in. I know it's fucking laborious, I know it sucks, but look, we won't choose to give up ground unless we have to, but we need to be ready to think about doing that if we get a significant amount of pressure.
Where's the...
Sniper level.
Snipers, yeah. I think I got one.
Also, just as a watch out, guys, those snipers top left, for some reason, I don't know why, they will often spawn there. You'll often get snipers spawning in the walkways on the left and ahead, quite far in the distance. They're really fucking hard to hit with both ranged and with brain burst. I don't know why, they just are.
Oh,
Pop it,
fucking hell.
pop it. Weak Pete.
You see just how precarious this situation is. We need to get Runa down, and then we can deal with Pete.
Oh,
Oh,
they don't got me, but I pushed this up.
Got you. It's a burst on you, mate.
Two more bursts into the sniper. Oh, I dropped it again.
you can see just how dangerous again. I know I'm repeating myself, but honestly, in a perfect world, guys, we would have pulled this stuff back. That was a very, very dangerous hold.
That was... We should have gone all the way back, maybe. Fucking hell.
But we got through.
Mate, that one sniper, I tried to brain burst him like 10 times. I cannot get him.
I will mention, I'm just watching my peril bar and how I'm playing the trauma. Like I say, I'm not that comfortable with Psyker at this point, and I'm not that comfortable with this build, particularly, right? When you go from an Empiric Resolve build to an Empiric Resolve less build, it takes a bit of getting used to. There's also a bit of muscle memory that I built up years ago using this stuff far too much, where there's a small animation lock when you like release a trauma strike, right? Well, your character is sort of like, she's clenching her left fist, and she's sort of like stuck there for a couple of like milliseconds, or, you know, whatever it is.
Oh, these fucking wankers don't stop coming.
Yeah, in the past you used to be able to just tap R to like quell cancel that animation, and it didn't cost you any peril, right? So you could essentially just use it to remove the animation lock, but stay at high peril. I'm still doing that, but for some reason, I don't know if it's just I'm mistaken or if they have changed it. You now quell a tick of peril even if you just tap R really, really quickly. Now, like I say, it's been, God, close to a year since I played Psyker last. Oh, we have twins. So you'll see me just like be at slightly lower peril than I'd want, because I have that muscle memory where I'm trying to cancel that animation lock, and instead what's happening is A, it's not working, and B, I'm getting a tick of peril quelled, which ideally I don't want to be in those moments. Yeah, so we had twin spawn, so, you know, it's actually not a bad time to do it, because, well, there's not a lot of pressure. We can just burst down the twins. You can see, guys, I'm a Psyker. There's no horde. I want to kill something in a single target quickly. I'm using my sword.
That fence. Look at that.
Christ. Alright. Totally didn't squeak through that entire
Oh
bit.
my lord!
Fucking hell. That one's too loud, man. We're going to turn that shit down.
I agree, that was too fucking loud. I need to turn that down in Discord. That's a soundboard, by the way. That's not Keck screaming his head off. Guys, just ahead of us, just to explain. You essentially have, I think it's, is it 3? I think it's a series of 3 of these, like, long airlock sections, where you open the door, there's a shitload of stuff, and then stuff will keep spawning at you. Yeah, this is dangerous. Be careful. When you first start this, guys, and you first open this door, only open this door when you're fucking true and ready and ready to fight, yeah? Because the amount of times we've opened this too early or when we aren't prepared and there's just a fucking firing squad of Reapers here is too damn high. So be aware, this is like lock-in for these airlock bits. Also be aware also that behind us you can get continual waves of specialists and hordes that spawn. So even when we're trying to pull and deal with what's forward, we want to be aware of what's behind us as well. As with always, if we get too much pressure, clear back and pull back down to more favourable ground. Like that long bridge that we came up, you can use the corner as a pretty decent choke point if we get a lot of stuff here.
Oh, shot his armor.
For goodness sake.
I'll also just mention, I'm pretty sure the next respawn point is like the second airlock. So, yeah, just be aware of that. However, if we lose anyone now, what we want to be doing is pulling back down the bridge the way we came, and then we can recover the teammates just behind us. You can see the stuff that's spawning behind, right? There's constantly, guys, watch your six and deal with what's forward. This is where this sort of thing is like, sometimes, guys, when you play in a pug, you'll get a really good group that can just fucking vibe off pings, off all that kind of stuff. However, you want to consistently clear these sorts of things, and I mean like with any kind of respectable like percentage, you know. Communication is the absolute next step. Also, not only to me, I will say, it's just way more fucking fun, guys, when you're playing with people who are talking. Like, it's just way more fun. You can coordinate, you can actually feel like a squad, you can have a fucking laugh, right? Your teammates can help you mitigate the bullshit and the frustration of the game with humor, you know, all that kind of stuff, eh? So what I'm saying is, like, you see how often we're fighting on 2 fronts, 3 fronts, whatever. We sort of break off into 2s. Now that sort of happens naturally, but like communication really helps drive that. And for me anyway, it enriches the experience. Now don't get me wrong, people. Yes, sometimes it's a fucking ball ache, right? Sometimes you have to deal with people when you don't want to deal with people, you know? But my Darktide experience is so much richer from turning my mic on and taking a chance with people than it is from just solo pugging and staying mute. No judgment there, just giving you my view. Alright, just this next section. If someone dies, guys, I think it's this one. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not wrong, but I think it's this one. I'm pretty sure if someone dies, you respawn up here. It could actually be the next one. These are very, very similar looking, but I'm pretty sure it's either this one, so the second or the third one, and they spawn just on the left. The point being is when you're in this airlock section, if you lose anyone, just back up to the fucking first airlock, yeah? As much as you can go, and you should be able to recover them close. Now this one here, which is the second airlock, just be aware of the right-hand side. So the first one, there is stuff on the left. The second one, there is stuff on the right-hand side, like a little walkway, like an area that you can path into. So yeah, just be aware of that.
Only we had crack.
When you're clearing it, this is a lot of armor, guys. So popping red, giving ground, and just trying to clear as much as I can. Now in this situation, right, we have a lot of melee elites, right, which I can't stagger because I brought a funking trauma staff. But honestly, in this situation, unless you're about to eat an overhead, it's the fucking shotgunners that are the most dangerous, right? It's always going to be the specialists, disabler, or the DPS specialists, and then the ranged enemies, right? Provided you're not about to eat an overhead. It's just how it goes. Shotgunners, reapers, gunners are incredibly dangerous. If you don't have cover, you need to make sure you focus on staggering and taking those out rapid. Again, the thing that supersedes all this is protect yourself, yeah? There's a mauler in your face about to swing, fucking dodge, fucking deal with that first.
Yeah, man.
Obviously never used that.
I don't believe you use anything but plasma sword.
Just sort of an idea as well. The next time I Shriek, guys, I will try and go frame by frame and just show you what the Shriek radius looks like what the actual, like, how this thing travels, you know, just so you can use that to make sure you maximize the number of targets that you hit. You see here, Zarki's gone down. Rather unfortunate. but we're pulling back as far as we possibly can go, and he should spawn in the second airlock.
Next room over. I need 20 seconds. Don't let me.
I've also just realised that this is the, for any of my boys that are watching, this is the famous Dinnergate game, where Zark sacrificed his relationship with his other half just to finish a silo cluster with us. My brother, we love you for it. Thank you. In hindsight, probably a bad choice, but hey. Right, let me see if I can just grab that. Oh, we have 4158. I'm going to try and just pause as I shriek. I'm sorry if this doesn't work, in which case I'll cut it out. But I'm going to try and pause at the shriek just so you can see what this thing looks like. Alright, nailed it. Guys, that's your shriek. Yeah? I mean, people talk about it being a cone. I don't think they talk about it looking like this, eh? You know, I think one of the benefits of doing Darktide footage, content, whatever the fuck you want to call it, whatever the word is, I don't know. Is you get to look at stuff like this. Not only does it look quite cool, but also you get an understanding of what it looks like. So when you shriek, guys, this is essentially what you're sending out, yeah? It's not as wide as you think, but it's very tall. And bear in mind that this can go through walls and things like this. Just keep this in mind. You know, use this radius here as an idea to help you try and hit as many, you know, shriek on as many people as you want, shout at them, call them nasty names, but hit as many of them as you can, eh? Just be aware of that. I think that's quite a useful thing to know. Alright guys, I think Zark's, is he in this one? He is in this one, perfect. Okay, cool. So when you enter the airlocks, guys, the respawn point is in the second airlock. Okay, second airlock on the left-hand side. Provided you haven't, you know, had the door shut behind you and push the button, you can recover your teammate pretty damn close to the second airlock for the respawn point. Now, lots of shotties, you can see immediately, guys, I'm trying to position away from them behind cover. I don't want to be face-tanking shotties as a Psyker with no empathetic evasion. Now, if you've got an Inferno staff and you have empathetic, fucking all power to you, just face-tank them. Personally, I'm quite enjoying the risk that not running empathetic is giving me. It's teaching me much better positioning. It's teaching me to really respect ranged threats because fucking hell, guys, you can get shredded. When we're right and ready, we hit the button, and this is the last airlock, and essentially we just clear what's in the room and we take the path to the left-hand side.
It's like clearing this drop down.
Let's just drop this. Quiet your heads.
Right, some good news, people, because this video is already quite long. We're towards the end of the map. So this is really the home stretch before the end event, okay? But, as with everything in silo, this is dangerous. What we want to do now that we've dropped here is we want to clear the room, but we want to use the cover that's on the left-hand side to our advantage, right? There is a long tunnel ahead of us, absolutely stacked full of mobs, that we want to pull towards us and clear, okay? But if we get pressured because mobs, as you saw at the start, will keep dropping from the right-hand side where we came in, they'll keep flooding from forward, and honestly, the spawn ahead of us on the left-hand side as well, they'll drop in that first room. Just be aware. You know, I can already see a horrendous situation developing, guys. Horrendous. So we're being pushed into a corner, there's lots of armor, there's range pressure ahead of us. This is one of those, guys. Trust in your brothers. Deal as much damage as you can and just whittle the fucking hordes of chaos down. But this is dangerous. So that barrel there has absolutely cucked us. In a perfect world, guys, we push left so we can get into cover. Yes, it's a narrow space, but look at where we are. Everything's fucking narrow. But that barrel has just cut off that retreat point.
Nothing's dying, what the fuck is this shit?
That, my friend, is...
And Corvus eloquently telling us that nothing is dying because, well, it's a fucking garden ramp map. This is, like I say, this is, in my opinion, probably by far the spiciest mod combos we've had in some time. Obviously, judgment on rotten armor pending because Fat Shark and their fucking eternal stupidity haven't put it back in rotation since they changed it, and I am mad salty about that shit. But this is a real spicy one. Real spicy one. Especially when your Psyker chooses to run a stagger-heavy weapon into a modifier with unstaggerable enemies, eh? Yeah, I'm very impressed that no one died there. We didn't panic. We sort of just stayed together, trusted in each other to just burn through it, and just made sure we stayed alive. Well done, boys. Well done.
I don't know how people didn't die, man.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right, so the area ahead of us, if I just face forward. We're going to face forward.
Don't pull it. Oh my god, the Reaper and
Okay. As I mentioned, long tunnel ahead. This then leads to the end event, and then fucking sweet, sweet salvation, right? The long tunnel ahead, there's a boss trigger about halfway up this tunnel. So what Zark is doing as a zealot with passive is shoving forward, trying to trip the trigger, and dependent on what comes, typically speaking, if it's just one boss, we'll shove forward and we'll fight them in the tunnel, depending on how ballsy we feel. If it's two bosses, we'll fight them back here, where we have cover. Because if we fight in the tunnel, ladies and gents, we have absolutely no fucking cover at all. And as with everything in Silo, you're fighting forward and mobs will flood from behind. So if you commit to this, just be well and truly ready to commit to it. You know what I'm saying, right? But just as a tip, where Zark's dropping down here, you can actually climb back up. So you hop up on the left-hand side, you climb, and then you run back, okay? So yeah, you can get back up, is my point. So what Zark is doing, as I say, is trying to trip the trigger. Just do your teammate a favor who's doing this. Don't pull the shit, right? If there's fucking guns there that are further away, don't shoot them. If you aggro them, you're essentially inviting trouble for your teammate who is already running out behind enemy lines to try and trip a trigger and come back. If you aggro that stuff, you make his life so much more difficult. Just be patient. Let him trip the trigger. Deal with the other stuff later.
Don't pull work. You got book up? Yeah, you should just come back, mate. There it is.
So this bit here, just ahead of me, is how you can climb back up. So I've pushed forward to try and Oh my Christ! What is it with this game? Slightly embarrassed with all the fucking the sequence of errors and just like what on earth? It's like a fucking Benny Hill music's playing the entire game. It's hilarious to watch back. But so Keg fell down when he shouldn't have fallen down because we just had no business, right? Zark's tripped the trigger, bunch of fucking armor on the way. I stepped forward to try and stagger the stuff to help out my brother in need, right? Keg slipped down and I fucking slipped down as well. You see me, I talked about you can climb back up, you'll see me try and do this, but like, honestly, what is going on in this game? You climb up this little lip, back up top, and then you go away. Oh my god. Oh, I just got sniped and now I'm down.
Behind us.
Hopefully, there's no book.
Can I have a revive shout, please?
And Keg doesn't run revive shout because he hates us.
Oh, he's just
Oh, Zaki, what a hero. Right, so Corvus's Nuncio gave Zaki additional revive speed, and Zaki's playing a Zealot, which has a talent that boosts his revive speed by I think like 25% or something like that. And he's running double or triple rev speed Curios, right? So thankfully, my brothers have managed to dig me out of this hole of my own creation. Slightly annoyed that Keg slipped down and managed to slip out just fine, and I got absolutely butt fucked by snipers and gunners, but hey, here's what it is. Here's what it is.
Fire, boys.
Oh, that was it.
You can see how much safer holding down here is at the back of the room in cover than it is just holding W key and just trying to hold that tunnel where you have no cover, right? This is why we choose to do this. And guys, after everything we've been through in this map, it feels so bad to wipe in this section, yeah? Just play it patient, play it careful, try and fucking do the high percentage plays, and you'll get through.
Sniper behind? This fucking game, lads.
Right, so we have a med station ahead of us, and this is one of the few med stations where it's like guaranteed four charges, which is lovely. Typically the med stations just before events, or in events, will have 4 charges guaranteed. Stuff to loot right and left, and then we want to clear what's ahead of us, and then enter the end event room.
A fuck ton of ammo back here. 3 big ones.
3 big ones.
Yeah. That's for Robbie. Over there, Keg, there's a lot of ammo there.
Here guys, just trying to be patient, just trying to clear the stuff that comes and start picking what we can from the room. Look, we're on a very narrow walkway and there's ranged threats ahead of us, we just have to be careful, eh? And I've given this advice before, but once we drop, don't start the event, hey? Don't insta-start the event, don't be that person that's like fucking fidgety and just can't leave the red button alone. Clear the room first, loot up the room, and then start when you're right and ready.
Shooters everywhere. Fucking hell.
Oh, middle, shit ton of them.
Guys, look how much stuff is here, eh? How much stuff spawned, how much range pressure we're under. Imagine if we'd already started the event and we triggered the infinite hordes to, you know, it's like just asking the Mongol horde to turn up on your doorstep. Just please don't do it. Please be patient with these events. You've gotten this far in the game, hey? Make sure you finish it.
So we did what, Omaha, Juno, so all the most.
Oh, you did the
Yeah. Wait,
Another best though.
some of the pillboxes that you can go into, they're like Burst, and Scream did it. They're like just fucking full of needles and shit now.
Are they?
It's just full of druggies. Fucking cool.
So you can see, guys, in this instance, we still haven't started the event, right? The game decided to send a wave of specialists and stuff at us, so just deal with it first, be patient, and then we can start.
Of course. Yeah.
Anything you don't deal with now, you just invite more pressure when you're actually actively doing the event, and you know, you have additional spawns, you have objectives to do.
Oh, Zark. What a man. What a man. Shot you behind as well.
As when you see shotgunners spawn in any kind of number, just be aware that they will spawn at often will spawn at multiple points of the room in events. So just because you see shotties, let's say ahead to the left, like I saw there, does not mean there's not more shotties behind you. So it's one of these things, like, just be on fucking hyper alert. I personally think shotgunners are one of the hugely underrated... Underrated? Is that the right word? Yeah, underrated threats in this game. They are incredibly dangerous. For how dangerous one shotgunner can be if you get bad RNG and he lands all his pellets. And consider they spawn in like groups of like fucking 8 to 15. Like, jeez, they're dangerous. Treat them with respect.
Play a bit more
Oh,
side,
shotties.
you'll get there. Whoa.
They're gonna kill me.
shit. Sorry.
I got res. Burst coming right side, I think. I literally cannot move. She's so squeaky.
So this event, guys, essentially it's just a series of the googly eyes. The first one is spawned right next to us, which is great. We're now working on the second one, which again is a favourable spawn because it's right next to us. One of the beautiful things about trauma staff is with correct placement, you can actually pop the googly eyes really, really fast. You just have to make sure the reticule is like really pushed up against it, and you should be able to pop it. Really helps with this sort of these sorts of events. And this is one of those moments where smoke grenades, where bubble, where fence, or a book zeal can really, really save your ass, right? Because it allows you to move together to get to the next objective without, like Zark is doing here, right? He's created space and he's created a window for us to move around, which otherwise we'd be under way more pressure to actually get these done.
I think he's still in the game.
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
And there are only a few events in the game that don't necessitate, because we've cleared many silos without it,
Was that the last
but your life is so much easier if you have some kind of way to create space or relieve range pressure during the end event.
Relentless. He just went in and died.
So we've done the googly eyes now, we just have to hit the button. I think the team were a little bit over-eager in trying to get there, and you see we've lost Keggy Boy. But it's all good, we're close by, and oh, let me just talk about one thing as well. Guys, if you lose someone in this event, the respawn point's right here. Literally right, just behind that Mewtwo. Okay, so if you lose someone, just pick a hold point, get yourself some safety, stay together, and then you can recover them right here. But be aware though, right, it's very exposed. So big sight lines to ranged, firebombers, all that kind of stuff. This is where, again, if we have book up and we want to get someone up who's died, use book for safety, get the res off.
Got one sniper, there's another one.
Got he's in the mid.
I'm on my way.
Back to mid.
Just seeing that this video is now an hour and a half. I think it's actually quite a long video. Yeah, the map itself was 55 minutes, so it's like a fucking eternal silo cluster. I think by nature this is always going to be a bit longer. Then maybe I've been especially rambly today. You can see, guys, we've picked this area as the hold point. This is where we drop the med kit. This is essentially where we're trying to hold. However, we need to be aware that shit is spawning left, right, and center. Okay? No part of this event is safe. This is just, for us, the lesser of all evils, so this is where we tend to hold because there's a bit more cover. But the mobs drop on our heads. They spawn from left and from right. This is one of those, guys. This will test your your coordination and your ability to move together. Oh, we lost Robbie. That is unlucky, buddy. But yeah, we get to demonstrate the respawn point, which is just behind me here.
Guns mid, eh?
I can pick him up in 5 with cores. I have cores here.
Alright.
Also, just for clarity, people, the respawn points are all of them. Oh, I show. Yeah, you see this totem thing? I call it a totem anyway. This is basically, this marks the respawn point. And depending on how close you are to it, in an event, it doesn't fucking matter. As long as the event's on, like not over, like ongoing, you'll spawn at the event totem. But in other points of the map, the reason we back up is basically your proximity to this totem will dictate which totem your teammate will respawn at. So as an example, like that bridge we talked about, you know, if we back up when Zaki and I were on our own and then 2 teammates had died, because we backed up all the way to the left, the closest totem was the one in the room to our left. If we were further forward, it would then choose the next totem, right? So keep an eye out for these. These will tell you where your respawn points are. They're very hard to see. And they're very, you know, chaosy and nurgly and stuff like that. But just as an FYI for those who weren't aware.
Let's get the fuck out of here. Oh,
Fucking hell.
Alright guys, the event's over. We just need to fucking get through and get out of dodge. This was one of those where... Oh my god, getting absolutely shredded by gunfire. Yeah, this is a map that we didn't play fantastically well into a very hard map with a very spicy combination of modifiers. But it was A, mad entertaining for me to watch back, which is always good. And B, we got through, right? It shows you that you don't need to play perfectly, right? You can make mistakes, you will make mistakes, and you can recover it. And the main thing is, guys, you can hear us. We had a fucking laugh, you know? Ultimately, that's what I'm here for. So anyway, some closing thoughts then. Some closing thoughts and just a quick look at the scoreboard. I'll keep this quick because the video is already too long, but yes, I think I covered the closing thoughts. So just looking at the scoreboard, ammo taken, ammo wasted, most of the ammo funneled into Robbie. Actually, that's not quite true. Korf took quite a lot. As long as Robbie's cool with that, happy days. Right? Also, it's worth noting on silo cluster, because of how spread out and how much range pressure you'll often face, it's one of those where you tend to use up a bit more ammo. But typically speaking, in the comps that I tend to run, we tend to feed more ammo into the vets just to help him drive what he's really good at if he's playing that traditional vet build. As long as he's cool with this, happy days. Total damage taken across the board, fucking sky high. Myself and Keg took over 600 damage. Somehow our frontliners took less. We don't dwell on that, we move on. Looking at downs and deaths, across the board, pretty high. All right? I mean, we had a total of 5 deaths, which is, in a Havoc 40 game, is quite fucking high, right? The downs are sort of like a bit of a so what. A lot of that happened in the very last event, though, which is, you know, it's sod's law, just happens sometimes. Looking at total damage, now bear in mind, guys, I'm running a Blazing Spirit, so not what you call a meta Psyker build. A Blazing Spirit trauma into Encroaching Garden, where certain mobs can't be staggered and they're pumping out healing. This isn't bad going. This is not bad going at all. The one thing, I think, when you think about how, you know, budding Psykers who want to choose a weapon to specialize in and things like this, an example of just how overtuned the Inferno staff is you can see here, look, I mean, I didn't play fantastically, but I was doing my absolute best the entire time to deal damage, to stagger, to spread Soul Blaze, right? In addition, guys, I'm playing a very, very risky build. So I've taken off like the training wheels when it comes down to Imperial Resolve, to Empathetic Invasion, all that kind of stuff, right? I've taken off defensive layers or comfort layers to try and maximize damage. So in essence, I've taken like Penetration of the Soul to drive rending, to help my trauma do more damage, all that kind of stuff, you know? But even still, look at my boss damage. Like, my damage into everything else is pretty high, pretty happy, pretty good. Lots of trash clear, decent, very decent elite damage. And, you know, head and shoulders, the most specials killed. It's just part of the nature of being a burnt Psyker, because you have AoE and things like this, right? But my boss damage was pretty piddly. The reason being is because I have such a low ceiling on the amount of Soul Blades I can stack. It means that with my staff, it means that I can't easily deal boss damage. It means I have to be using my sword to poke him in the face or poke him in the pimple, whatever, right? Now, if I was to run an Inferno Psyker, what you'd see here is just a sea of gold, because it basically doesn't have a fucking weakness. You know what I mean, right? It can deal amazing damage into every single armor type. It's just absolutely cracked. When you think about, if you're a Psyker thinking about, hey, why should I play Trauma versus Inferno? If you're looking at 100% pure output, you just shouldn't, right? Because Inferno is just better in the current game state with the current mechanics of the Inferno staff. However, personally, I don't personally enjoy the Inferno staff, so I just run Trauma, right? But the big, should we say, variance between the two is Inferno would do more damage all round, would probably do more elite damage because it's easy to stack up at the expense of not staggering as much stuff, but it would do significantly more boss damage, right? It's not uncommon for your Inferno Psyker to have the highest boss damage in the game, even when faced with Claw Skitarii, even when faced with like Monster Hunter Arby, that sort of stuff, eh? Anyway, I said I'd be quick and I wasn't, but look, I hope you enjoyed that. Like I say, it was a imperfect game played very imperfectly, but very spicy mods, a spicy map, and some laughs and decent vibes as we go through. I hope it was useful. As with always, guys, if you like it, let me know. Do all the normal fucking content stuff. I appreciate all of that. And yeah, open to feedback. Give me your comments, what you want me to do next, what you want me to focus on, do less of, all that kind of good stuff. Take it easy, guys. All the best.